Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 27 of the Rise of Dragons podcast. My name is Robert Blanchard, but my friends call me Bobby. And if you've seen the title of this week's episode, then you know that I have some probably pretty heavy things to talk about, but we're going to do that a little bit later in the episode. I did have some little bit of some issues here and there, and if you've known me for any length of time, you know I suffer from some mental health problems and some depression and anxiety and things like that. But I'm generally able to keep it under control. But every once in a while, things get a little bit difficult, and I get a bit of a wake up call, and then I have to kind of dial things back a little bit. But again, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But up until a couple of hours ago, I had no idea what I was going to talk about in the writing portion of this podcast. And Kate and I went out to a dinner at a Red Robin nearby. Actually, we were sitting in the parking lot of a Walmart. We had just had our eye appointments, and we had to go to Walmart to get a couple things. And I was just sitting there thinking, and I thought, that would be a good topic to talk about. I just happened to think about it, and there it was. I was kind of thinking about how to write a strong female character, and I would like to think that I've done that in my books. I think there are several strong female characters, and in no way would I say that I'm an expert on this, and I would not even say that I've done it the right way or anything like that. First of all, I've said in the past that how well the books have done or anything good about them is really not for me to judge. It's for you guys to judge. But I think that writing a strong female character is really the way you do it is the same way you would write any strong character. You just kind of add feminine qualities to them, I guess. And again, this doesn't make me an expert either, but again, if you know me, the majority of my friends in my life are women, like the vast majority. If you were able to look at my Facebook page, literally like 90% of my friends are women. And that has to do with me being just more comfortable around them. I recognize that as a male, women are, for the most part, not always, but inherently uncomfortable around men in general, and I get it. I totally understand why. And I think it's very important for me as a male to make the women around me feel comfortable and be someone that they can trust. And I like to think that I've accomplished that. I've heard many times women around me say that men suck. Except for you, Bobby, but I am not perfect either. I have my issues and my moments just like everybody else. But it is good to hear that, I at least try to do the right thing as much as humanly possible. But I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think at the end of the day, the idea of writing a strong female character is to really not overdo it and not to, I don't know. I've seen so many times people, companies, whatever, trying to do that, trying to write strong female characters, and they overdo it, and it's just so obvious what they're doing, and it takes away from it so much. And I don't think you want to do that. I think the way you want to do it is just write a strong character that just happens to be female. I think that's the way that it works the best. And I think Lady Mirabelle is a perfect example in the Roar of a Dragon trilogy. Again, not to judge my own work, but I really like what I've done personally with Mirabelle as a character. She's someone who can definitely handle her own in a fight and is not afraid. She doesn't need anyone to step in for her. she doesn't need a man or woman or anyone else to fight her battles for her. She can do it herself. And, I think you also want to write a background that represents that and, you know, presents that ability about her. And, you know, I'm going to spoil things a little bit, but and at the end of the Treachery of a Weasel, she does fight Norvin herself. I'm sorry, and Norvin is kind of a superpowered Therilore at this point, but Mirabelle doesn't care. She takes him on herself and holds her own. So I think it's worth noting that even even though Mirabelle may well have been outmatched, she was not afraid to do what she had to do and step in to handle business herself. And again, I just think that that's the way to do it. I'm kind of sort of repeating myself, I guess, a little bit, but when you're writing a female character, again, I think the way to do it is just straightforward. You don't really want to emphasize the fact that she's female. I think that would take away from it a little bit. Mirabelle just happens to be a strong woman who came from I don't want to say a difficult background. She kind of came from a well-to-do family, but she chose to go into the military. And she kind of wanted to prove herself, I think. And that's basically where that came from. And being in the military is kind of where she learned to be who she became. And that's kind of the end result of, making Lady Mirabelle who she is. So, and there are others too. Lady Kirra was a very strong character, I think. Narissara is a very strong character, I think. These are all women that, much like in real life, and we see it everywhere, women have to make it in male-dominated, societies and companies and, industries and things of that nature. So, these are all women that made it to the top through their own strength and their own perseverance. And it's happening more and more in today's society, and I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. I have long said that I would love to see a female president of the United States someday, and we will get there. I believe 100% we will get there. But I think that, I think the industry has evolved. I think we've seen many more strong female characters these days than we used to see, and I think that's a great thing. And I think the more that we see it, the better it will be for everybody, really. I think we should be way long past the days where women are the weaker sex, quote unquote, because those days have long been over for a long time. And even in my own relationship, I love Kate to absolute death, and I look at her as like the pillar of our relationship. Like she handles all the most of the most of the stressful things in the relationship, like the bills and stuff like that. And I'm there to support whenever she needs me, but she takes that on herself, and she just has the brain and the capacity for it, whereas I do not. So, she is a much stronger person than she gives herself credit for, really. And I just stand behind her and support her any way I can, but she is the type of person that can handle it. And so many women are like that nowadays. And, I think if you don't take advantage of things like that, then, you're really doing yourself a disservice, especially in a relationship. It takes two to tango. It takes two to, especially these days, get through life. You need both sides more now than ever. It used to be that one person could, take care of the entire family, but more and more it's becoming, a team effort. And, Kate and I very much have that. And that's, I think it's very important. Again, I'm going off on a tangent, but talking about the strength of women and the power of women nowadays is a topic that I never get tired of talking about, quite frankly. And, I'm glad that, even as a store manager now, a good deal of my employees are women, and I take the time to recognize their strengths and their abilities, and I try to utilize them to the best of my ability. Really like you would any other person. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be about gender. It's not supposed to be about anything else. It's supposed to be about their abilities as a person, and they either have it or they don't. And if they have it, then you want to take advantage of it as best they can. And if you write it the right way in a story, then you want to utilize it the best way you can. So I think that, I think that's the most important thing in writing a female character, is that you just have to make it as natural as humanly possible. But it really shouldn't be that hard, because you're really just writing another person that just happens to be female. So I guess that's my feelings on the matter. But feel free to let me know what you think, wherever you feel like doing so. But yeah, that's my feelings on writing a strong female character. Now, I have talked a lot on here and on my YouTube channel, all of my videos, my live streams, and everything else, about how tired I am and how much I'm working, especially now as a store manager, and working way more hours and trying to keep up with my YouTube stuff and trying to do everything and all of that stuff. And it was probably bound to catch up with me at some point. And a couple weeks ago it did. And I want to apologize for not putting out any content at all last week. There was no podcast. There were no regular YouTube videos. There was none of that. I basically had kind of a minor meltdown, and it was minor. There was no, there wasn't anything crazy like that, but I just I hadn't been getting enough sleep, and I was just crashing out. It was just starting to get bad. And I recognized the fact that I needed to step back, and I kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to put up any YouTube videos that week. I had just recorded the episode of the Win or Bust episode against Father Gascoigne in the Bloodborne No Blood Vial run, and I knew I was going to have to edit that and upload it, and then do the description and the thumbnail and all that stuff. And I had 2 days to do it, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I decided that I was going to put it off for a week, and I hadn't recorded Your Father's Story either, so I didn't do that either. So I put everything off for a week. I took that week to myself and just relaxed and recharged a little bit. I did do the regular Bobby's Gaming Lounge live stream that Saturday, and then I did do a couple of live streams during the week just to put up some content on my channel. I am trying to reach the 4,000 watch hours I need to get the channel remonetized. So I didn't feel like I could go a week without any kind of content, and so I did do a couple of hour-long live streams. I just played Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies. I ended up doing that on a Monday, I think it was. And then I wasn't even going to play Zombies again, but my boy kept saying something about Nuketown. You didn't play Nuketown, loser. So I played Nuketown, I think, on Thursday. I played it again. So there's a couple 1 hour live streams on there, which were fun. I did have fun doing those, and I got some content up there. And thank you for everybody that dropped in and hung out with me during those live streams. It was very, very important for me to just get some content up there. But yeah, I needed to step back. I needed to recharge, and I needed to get things back into focus. And I decided during that time that after I got up that Bloodborne Win or Bust episode against Father Gascoigne, that the Bloodborne No Blood Vial runs and all of the subsequent Soulsborne challenge videos from that point on were all going to be live streams on Mondays from that point on. And I think it's going to help in the long run, because it cuts out the need to record the video and then edit it and then upload it and then do timestamps and then, description and thumbnail and all that stuff. It's a lot of work. I don't think people realize how much work there is, to go into a YouTube channel and all that stuff. And I don't even do half as much work as a lot of other people do, that I probably should be doing. And I actually have been researching that. But I think just doing the live streams, I think is just going to make it a whole lot easier for me. So that's the plan from here on out, that Mondays there's just going to be live streams for the Soulsmart Challenge videos. Obviously, again, right now it's the Bloodborne No Blood Vow run. Stay tuned to the Bobby's World 2110 YouTube channel or YouTube page on Facebook. That's where I generally post updates and things like that. So there's that. And then Your Father's Story is going to stay basically the same. I'm going to make a video just like I always do and put it up on Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the previous week's episode of the podcast will go up on Friday at noon on the YouTube channel. And then there'll be a new episode of the podcast either that day or the next day. So, there is all of that. So, yeah, I did put up a win or bust episode against Father Gascoigne. And it was a rough go there for a while. It was really tough. For quite a while there, I was not making any headway at all. The video was relatively short because I made a good portion of it into a music video. It shortens the videos significantly, which, is a good thing. For a small-time YouTuber like me, most people don't want to watch a 50-minute video. So it's really helpful to make it into a music video for that. I always use Hall of the Mountain King as a song. I really like it. Probably use it too much, but I don't know. When I can make it work, it works so well. So that's the song that I generally stick with. But I guess I can go ahead and say that I did eventually beat him in the end, thank goodness. I was starting to think that I wasn't going to be able to beat him in that particular recording, that I was going to have to do another recording, but I didn't end up having to. So this coming Monday there will be a live stream where I go into the Cathedral Ward and we're gonna go through that nonsense. So yeah, there is all of that. So that's the update on the Bloodborne No Blood Vow run right now. And then on Your Father's Story, episode 14 that went up on Wednesday, I did answer some questions such as, what family member did you have most in common with? Which gave me kind of a chuckle because I really didn't have much in common with really any of my family members. I love them all dearly. Don't get me wrong. It's not an insult or anything like that, but I was always a different kind of person, a different kind of kid. So, yeah. So that was a bit of a difficult question to answer. There was a second part to that question, like which one was I most connected with. It was definitely my cousins, Jeff and Jen. So, I did have fun talking about them. The second question is, did you always know that you wanted to become a dad? And I think the second part of it is, how did you prepare for it? The answer to that one is no. I really hadn't even really thought about it at all. And then, as these things generally do, it just kind of happened. So, and then it happened again. So, it's just kind of the way it went. But obviously, wouldn't change anything for the world. I love both my boys dearly, and I'm so ridiculously proud of the men that they've become. So, that's the basic answer to that question, is that I wouldn't change a darn thing about the way things turned out. And then there was a question of what bad thing did I do that you secretly laughed about? Obviously, this is from the child's perspective, so I had to answer it for both boys. And I talked about Christian, when he was a little kid, for whatever reason, I don't know why, would poop under the porch. I don't understand, but it would crack me up. I don't I just don't understand. But you know, Christian was a very very good kid and very rarely got in trouble. But that was one of those things. I was like, all right, you need to not do that anymore. I wasn't living with Christian's mom at the time, but yeah, it's kind of basically how that went down. He also blew up a microwave once, but it was a complete accident. He was trying to make ramen and he didn't put any water in the container, so the microwave blew up. And Aiden would do the same thing years later. And for Aiden, I talked about how Aiden was like a ninja and he could just sneak through the house and he would steal chocolate and steal snacks. And one time he ate his snacks on his grandmother's stomach watching TV while she was just fast asleep and she had no idea. So that was definitely one of those things when I heard about it made me laugh, you know. So yeah, both boys had their moments, but you know, we got through it and everything's fine. So yeah, it was good times. And the title question of the episode is what can you never be too careful about? And I kind of struggled to come up with an answer to that one, but you know, driving is one thing. Using sharp objects, things like that, and really life in general, you can never really be too careful. But I also emphasize that sometimes you got to take the risk and go with it, you know. So so that was your father's story in a nutshell. Obviously, watch the episode. There's a lot more insight, and obviously there's those fun AI cartoons that I put in there. So yeah, go back and check that out. You know, the full episode for, you know, everything that I answered and all the, you know, the full context of everything that I gave. So, you know, that's there for your viewing pleasure. And last Saturday on the Bobby's Gaming Lounge live stream, we did round 2 of the GTA 5 heists with Christian and Upchuck, also known as Zach, and Vapor's Titan, which was a really, really fun time. We had fun the first time around, so we had to give it a second go. Yeah, I mean, what can I possibly say about doing heists in GTA 5? I mean, it was chaos and it was fun and there was all this stuff going on. I would love to tell you which heist it was, but I'm not like actually I'm on my YouTube thing on my phone right now. I could probably tell you, but you got to give me a minute to get there because, you know, I have to navigate all of this stuff and at the same time someone's trying to call me, so that's not good either. Oh, look, I actually activated it. Hold on. Yeah, it's the Humane Labs raid that we did. So yeah, there's we did all the different things and getting the raid ready, and it was a lot of fun times. And there was one moment when I was flying the helicopter. I think we had delivered the EMP, and Christian was telling me, because the mission part was saying that we had to shoot down the helicopters that were following us. So I was flying too fast, so I had to slow down, and so I did. I'm just kind of hovering there, and they're trying to shoot down the helicopters. And all of a sudden, bam! We get hit with a missile out of nowhere, and we're like, oh! We're yelling and screaming, and I'm like, oh, I gotta fly, I gotta get out of here. So yeah, it was a pretty crazy moment. But I pulled through in the clutch. I got the helicopter level, and we were able to land and finish the mission. So we finished the heist without too much of a hitch. There were a couple hiccups there, but you know, we got through it, and you know, it was just a fun time. We're gonna come back and hit the other heist at some other point, but we have a different plan this coming Saturday for the live stream, and then the week after we're gonna hit Resident Evil Requiem. So that is the current plans for the Bobby's Gaming Lounge live stream. So I think we're all excited for that, and then yeah, it's onward and upward from here on out. So I think everyone's gonna have fun with that. So I think we all have a lot to look forward to. And there you have it. That is going to do it for episode 27 of the Rise of Dragons podcast. I want to thank everybody who has been sticking with me all this time and who is still listening to the podcast, even if I don't put up episodes. I think that's pretty crazy. Even in my hiatus, I would occasionally log into Buzzsprout and look on there and say, "Oh my God, it's got 250 downloads, 300 downloads, 400 downloads. Like, what the heck?" It's just crazy. So I really, really appreciate you guys, and it's also been kind of reflected in the YouTube channel, the amount of growth that's been going on, and I have no words, even as a writer, for how much I appreciate and love you guys for that. Again, I have talked about, pushing through all this work I've been doing and putting out as much content as humanly possible, but also, my mental health has to be taken into account, and sometimes I have to step back and take things a little bit easy, but as long as you guys are here for it, I'm going to keep doing everything I possibly can. So making sure you guys are getting your content is very, very important to me, and I'm just going to keep doing everything I possibly can, but every once in a while I might need to just put the brakes on and just say, it's time to take a breather. It's time to take a step back and, just recharge the batteries a little bit. But, thank you guys for sticking with me and putting your faith in me. And I promise you that I do not take that for granted. I'm going to just keep doing everything I can. So, the content is going to be, well, other than the Bloodborne No Blood Vial run, like I said, it's going to be live streams, but the content is going to be at the same time, all the time this week. There'll be a new episode of the podcast next week, and the live stream on Saturday, and it's just going to keep, this train is going to keep rolling on and on and on and on and on. There are no signs of it stopping anytime soon. So once again, thank you all so much for the love and support. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope life is treating you guys well. I hope life that is being fair, and I hope everything is just coming up roses for everybody as well. So life is tough out there right now. So I hope that you guys are sticking with it and doing everything you possibly can to make your lives as good as it could possibly be. So until next week, be well, stay safe, and I will see you here next week for episode 28 of the Rise of Dragons podcast. Until then, take care, guys.